Wouldn't it be nice to have several thought leaders in your industry know and love your brand? Start a podcast. Invite your industry's thought leaders to be guests on your show and start reaping the benefits of having a network full of industry influencers. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with Andy Crestodina. He is the co-founder and strategic director at Orbit Media. Andy, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, James.
I'm really excited to chat with you today, Andy. I've been seeing your name all over the place. You do a lot of speaking and you've really got your finger on the pulse of what's working with content marketing and so many different things that you and your team are doing right. And so I'm really excited to chat with you today. We're going to be talking specifically about conversion rate optimization and you've got this kind of 4-part framework that we're going to go over. But before we do that, can you explain to our listeners, I just want to make sure they have a little bit of context as to who you are and what you and your team at Orbit Media are doing kind of day in and day out. Could you explain what are you and your team up to at Orbit Media?
Sure. So it's a company that I co-founded 16 years ago. We are here in Chicago. We focus on one service. We build websites. We are a web design and development firm. And there's 38 of us. We do everything in-house. All the developers and designers and project managers are here. And we have done more than 1,000 projects over the years. We launched 80 sites last year. So this is like 16 years of search optimization work I've done, 16 years of analytics. I've done 9 years of content marketing, social, email, blogging, strategy, and teaching. But this topic, it's kind of overdue. Like I really should have gone deeper and started teaching our framework and our process for maximizing the percentage of visitors who take action in a B2B lead generation website much earlier. So I'm finally getting around to it, and it's super practical, really fun to talk about, not very difficult, and it becomes crystal clear after just a few minutes.
I love it. So you've got a blog post that you wrote, and as part of the in looking at the blog post, you've got kind of a subtitle there that says context plus empathy equals conversion. Can you talk to us a little bit about that before we dive into this 4-piece framework?
Sure. So really, every visitor to every web page has some intent, right? How did they get there? What are they thinking? What is this person really looking for? What questions do they have? What answers do they need? So that's the context, right? You know a bit about each person on every page because of the traffic source or because of the label and the navigation that they clicked on. And now this person has this mindset, and we need to help them based on their own goals, based on their desired outcome. So when you think of it that way, it gets much simpler to understand what's necessary and how to construct a page, any page on any website. So yeah, it's really about them. Empathy is the great challenge. Empathy is the point and the real difference between good and great marketers. The more we understand this audience and what they are thinking on this page while looking at these pixels, the more likely we are to succeed for them and have a profitable outcome for us.
I love it. So I want to dive into this 4-part framework that you guys use to build these sites that actually convert into the results that your clients are wanting to garner. And so the first piece of the framework is around audience questions. Can you talk to us about what is that?
Yeah. So I want to give this person what they need, or else they're just not going to stay. They have a bazillion other websites they can go to, and then one thing that every page on the internet has in common is the back button. So I live in fear that my audience will ignore me or leave. So it's really all about them.
Yep.
Now, my approach to keeping them and keeping them happy and getting them to act is going to be all just based on content here. So this is not conversion optimization for like A/B testing or fancy programming. Yeah, it's not like Optimizely. I'm just going to do it all with content, and it all starts with them. So, example, this person has a question, right? Based on why they came to this page, I can tell, like, whatever the service is, maybe one of their questions is delivery time. So, if I don't answer that question on this page, this visitor is much less likely to take that action. So, if I've done any sales work or done any customer service work or talked to my audience, or I can do some online research. What are people talking about in, people with this job title are talking about what, or asking what questions in LinkedIn groups. People on Quora are talking about these topics or asking what questions. So I need to really understand them so I can construct the rest of this page, the rest of this experience.
And you shared some ways that folks can do that, like just talking to your customer, asking them what those questions are, surveys. Have you heard of any of your customers maybe doing anything outside the box or anything interesting around kind of how they have acquired the questions that they know that their buyers are actually asking?
Yeah. So I was in a meeting with a client, and the generic questions, and there's lots of people who write and speak on these topics, are like, how much does it cost? How soon will I get it? Is this website credible? And those are important and common to everyone, but it's not one size fits all. If it was, people wouldn't need custom websites. I was in a meeting with a client, and we knew that those were the generic questions, but this was like a higher ed company, and so it's like a grad school. And so I just asked this question in this room full of 20 different people all over the organization. They are like the librarians and the admissions officers and everybody. I couldn't write fast enough. They just told me everything all at once. It came out like a floodgate. It's not that hard if you just ask yourself, what are the things? I often say 3 or 5 things, but they gave me 60 of them.
Wow.
What are the things that people need to know before they'll buy? Just that right there is an amazing act of empathy that unlocks a ton of content ideas. If you don't have that, we're B2B people, you and I, but in B2C, you can do lots of research. Answerthepublic.com is a place you can type in any question or any topic, and it will scrape the internet for questions.
Interesting.
Yep. There's a new one done by BuzzSumo now, which I can Bloomberry.com. I'm just trying it out. So there's lots of tools. Quora.com is all questions and answers. I mentioned LinkedIn groups. Find the job title of the person who buys from you and go to LinkedIn groups and see what they're talking about. So there are ways to do listening online or research online, but definitely it's the salesperson who knows. Go look at the salespeople's emails, their sent mail folder, and you've got the content right there.
And so that leads me to my next question. Before we dive into this next piece of the framework, Andy, as folks are thinking about, okay, if we've got to address these questions on our website, is this something that's done on individual pages? Is it something that, if in that case where you've got 60 different questions that you want to address, is that in the form of blog posts? Is it in the form of, all on kind of one page on your home page, or is there an FAQ page that this kind of happens on? Structurally, how should people be thinking about that?
Yeah, this is where there's not it's an analysis job, and it's careful thinking and planning. And there isn't a prescriptive answer it's always this or never this, except that I'm not talking about blog posts, because blog posts are generally the informational queries, people trying to get, just learn about the topic. I'm talking about conversion optimization on sales pages. So I really don't want people on my sales pages to ever go to the blog. I'm trying to get them to take an action on the site.
Yep.
If someone goes from a sales page to the blog, they're kind of moving upwards through the funnel.
Got it.
I also don't like FAQ pages, because if a question is truly frequently asked, it should be in context, in the page, in the part of this flow where that question popped into their mind. An FAQ page is just a really generic label for maybe important stuff that's just poorly organized. It's just a pile of other answers. So I don't like FAQ pages. I think you should blow that page up and put those frequently asked questions in the flow on the pages where those questions pop into this visitor's mind.
Got it. Okay.
So, but sometimes, that higher ed question, it's like, what is housing like? Where can I live? Is it off campus? What's transportation? Those are going to be on a separate page, maybe even an entire section of those. Other companies, other answers to other questions might just be simply a short sentence or two in the flow on one tall page.
Okay, I like it. So there's not necessarily a kind of a silver bullet answer because every business is going to be different, and you're going to be talking to a different audience. So it's very contextual to kind of where that buyer will be looking for that answer in the context of your site, and making sure that you're addressing it there.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. So this next piece, so you've got the question that you're going to answer. Then the next piece of this framework is the answer itself. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so the answers are need to appear, as we said, in context. And there are times when they might be done with an entire page or entire section, like, oh, what's a day in the life of a student like over here? Or it might be done just as a simple piece of text like ships within 24 hours. The key is to make sure that all of those things are covered, because the research keeps showing that people are doing much more online to much more of the decision-making process before they reach out to a rep and before they talk to a company, before they fill out a contact form. So the key is to understand that we're going to generate more leads. We'll have a better conversion optimized platform if these pages include as many of these answers as possible. I also think it's possible to think about what is the priority. People have these questions in these order, or 80% of our audience needs this answer. Put that one at the top. So we're really just, it often, honestly, for B2B lead gen sites, it often happens in one flow on one page where each question and answer is a page block, like a horizontal row of content. And, they can be handled in different formats. So the answer isn't necessarily a question and answer in text. For really important answers, they can be handled with diagrams, with visuals, with video. I'm not just suggesting that these pages are a flow of text. There are certain questions that are best answered while building trust in a format such as video.
Got it. Okay. So we've got the question, we've got the answer to that question. The third piece of this framework, Andy, is evidence. Talk to us about that one.
The idea here is to never make a marketing claim without supporting it with some sort of evidence.
Okay.
Go look at one of your sales pages and count the number of marketing claims that you made. Now go count the number of marketing claims that are unsupported, and you'll find that there's probably a huge gap. Instantly, you're going to have a better website next week. All you have to do is plug these holes. There are all kinds of things that people say on websites that are just so weak because they're not adding support behind them. So on-time delivery. Okay, that's easy to say that you ship your products to businesses on time. But unless you're supporting that with evidence such as social proof and a testimonial, hey, thanks for getting it here on time. I was impressed at how quickly it came. You just made an unsupported claim. So we need to add that testimonial or add that statistic. That there's two forms of evidence. There's the qualitative, which is like a testimonial or a story or something personal. It's emotional. And there is the quantitative, which is statistic or a data point. It is appealing to the brain with reason. There's emotion and reason. In Aristotle's terms, these would be pathos and logos, if you want to nerd out over this in a college way. So anyway, add evidence to support all those marketing claims. Otherwise, you're just building a weaker page, and that's less likely to convert.
No, that makes perfect sense. I love that. So this fourth piece, the last part of this framework is action. So you've got your question, you've got your answer, you've supported that with evidence, either in the form of data or a testimonial, and now you actually want them to take action. Talk to us about this final piece.
Yeah, it's a weak website that just says contact us, or it's a weak website that has pages that flow down and just sort of stop.
Got it.
The page is a dead end. If you put all these together, you'll see just how unoptimized, how many missed opportunities there are on a page that fails to answer questions, that fails to support things with evidence, and doesn't have a call to action at the bottom. Just by doing these things here, you're going to make a dramatic difference in the amount of demand you generate with your website. But the action here, the idea is the action can be, again, context. So if the action is like, what's life like for students, the call to action could be, ask an admissions representative, maybe even show the face of one or show the name of one, about housing at our school. Or if it's about on-time delivery, speak to a rep about your deadlines. So if I know that my audience has anxiety around a topic, or they have concern, they have hopes or fears around this certain thing, then my call to action can be contextual. The other tip with calls to action are that everyone does this mini sort of cost-benefit analysis in their brain before they click on something. All of us do all the time. That's how the internet works. So you can also make your calls to action more powerful by indicating that the cost is low, like talk to a rep, within 24 hours, like that sounds easy, or that the benefit is high. Learn how we can get the product to you within a shorter timeline and hit your deadlines. So anything is better than just contact us.
Andy, this has been fantastic. So we've talked about questions, answers, evidence, and action. That's the 4-piece framework that you use to build incredible sites for your clients that actually convert. And so, is there anything else around this idea, Andy, that you'd like to share with our listeners before I let you go today?
Well, this is conversion optimization is about making decisions based on data. Digital is about data. And so finally, I would just say, everyone, hey, whatever, you're going to make some changes to your site based on this, if nothing else, by adding some answers to tough questions. Just make sure that your goals and analytics are set up properly, that you can drop any annotation into that timeline and analytics, and that you can go measure the impact. Because optimization, as it suggests, is not a job that's ever quite finished. Just keep iterating, keep trying things, keep experimenting, make those calls to action more immediate, create urgency, add personality, add more, move your testimonials around, upgrade your formats to video. When you make these improvements, go drop a little annotation into GA, and then see what had the greatest impact, so that you can keep getting smarter and keep getting better results.
I love it. Andy, this has been fantastic. If there's somebody listening, maybe they want to connect with you, or they want to learn more about Orbit Media and how they can work with your team on that side, what's the best way for them to go about doing both of those things?
Well, orbitmedia.com both has the blog that has lots of this kind of advice, and also if you just want to see some sales pages that have these examples, right, you can see how we're doing it there and how we've optimized these pages. The other tip for me, and you can find me on any social network, LinkedIn and Twitter are the ones where I'm active, but the book, Content Chemistry, it's the illustrated handbook for content marketing, and you can find it anywhere you find books.
Love it. I love it. Content Chemistry. So definitely go and check out Content Chemistry by Andy Crestodina. This has been fantastic. I've really appreciated this conversation, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom with our listeners. So thanks a ton, man.
My pleasure.
To ensure that you never miss an episode of the B2B Growth Show, subscribe to the show in iTunes or your favorite podcast player. This guarantees that every episode will get delivered directly to your device.
If you or someone you know would be an incredible guest for the B2B Growth Show, email me at jonathan@sweetfishmedia.com. Let us know. We love connecting with B2B executives, and we love sharing their wisdom and perspective with our audience.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.